First of all, I'm so excited to have Steve Ozanich here today because there's a bit of a story behind this. I found Steve's book, The Great Pain Deception, when I was a baby narrator. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was such a baby narrator. I'd recorded in studios outside the house for the RNIB, and I was just starting to record from home on my own. And I thought at the time, I'll just reach out to anyone. And I knew I couldn't do your book because anybody that reads your book realizes it needs to be from a male point of view. Even if it's done by somebody else, it's your story. It has to be done from a male point of view. But I cheekily reached out to Steve and said, please make your book an audiobook because it's long. My eyes always give me problems. And I wanted this book really badly. Fast forward, you have I think it's two other books on Audible now.
Yes, yes.
Two
Two,
other
the
books on
second and third one,
Audible
yes.
done by the wonderful
Rich
Rich.
Miller.
Yes, yes. And he's a favorite of the audience here. Everyone in the community loves Rich Miller. And you have just recently recorded yourself, recorded The Great Pain Deception yourself. And did you say it's 20 hours long?
20 hours long.
Which is a massive feat, even for a full-time professional narrator. So I'd like to touch on that at some point in this call, the experience of an author recording his own book and what that journey was like for you. But I'd also like to talk about 10-year-old Steve.
You're
Can
looking at
you,
them.
yeah, bring me into the mind of 10-year-old Steve? I think 10-year-olds are, we're old enough to kind of start to be getting a feeling of who we are and our opinions about things. And the spark of who we become is in most 10-year-olds.
Yes. Yes, it would be nice to live our lives before we knew what the world was like,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
moment. Because when I teach people how to heal, I teach them presence. That's the only permanent pathway out of suffering. Now, it's just a word, of course. You have to be present. Knowing what presence is doesn't work. You have to be present. It used to be called mindfulness. And 10-year-old kids, they're living in the moment, just like dogs and cats, they live in the moment. That's the way we should live our lives. But we live in an information era. It's as brutal with information. It's just overwhelming us. And so their minds are moving and they're always in the future or the past. And they're stuck in their minds is the problem. And the mind, as Edgar Cayce said, the mind is the builder. The mind is the builder. That's one of the most important statements in human history. The mind is the builder of your life. And I heard Yogananda the other day say, wherever your mind is, that's where you live. That is such a great statement. It'd be a great song
When
lyric.
when you were 10 years old, though, were you just a happy kid living in the moment?
At that time, yeah, 10, 11, 12 was a really good time for me. Before that, I came into this world with a ton of health problems. 6, 7, 8 years old. I was in the hospital a lot. Then once I get through that, those early years were really good. And then through high school, and then whatever you remember about my book, because you read it a long time ago, um, life fell apart in my 20s. Everything went wrong. The wheels fell off. But, here I am. I feel better than ever. I feel 10 again.
But your story of the wheels falling off touched me deeply. I mean, and I did confess to Steve that 275 manuscripts later, um, and you all know me, I'm not. Oh my God, for a minute I thought I remembered to hit record, didn't I? You all know me. I'm not great with remembering details because I have to concentrate fully on whatever book's in front of me. But I do remember how clear and vivid the emotion and the journey that you went through is in your book, and how you didn't give up, and how when the right solution came to you, it was just clear. wasn't it? It was,
Yes. The book's a long book. It's 400 pages, which is why it took so many years to finally finish. I kept starting and stopping and starting and stopping, and I finally, with your help, it's because of you that the book's out there. Really, I didn't know anything about audio, and you reached out. Please get the book on audio. I can't read it, you said, but whether you do or not, and you showed me how to label things and with this and that. So you were the one you were the main impetus for.
I'm proud because I want that book out. I still do. I stand by it. I'm going to listen to it now. I retain things better when I'm listening than I do
Yeah,
when I read.
me too. I read and I don't retain it. I listen, I retain it. It's a deeper healing. When I consult with people for health, I tell them to get the audiobooks. It's a frequency that it reaches your chakras and your brain centers, and it
Energy,
changes.
right? It's energy because I'm so focused on when you're in the booth, you are sharing an energy and you have to be in control of that energy. And if you go in the booth and your energy is scattered or thinking about your life and other things, that's what you're sharing.
Yeah, it's when I was recording it. I'm an electrical engineer anyway by degree, and so I've had a studio in my house because I recorded music in the '90s. Um, I was seeing it as I was recording it as frequencies and energy that I was recording that they would hear, because they're not listening to words like the dog ran. You're listening to the frequencies of that, and their ears are picking up on the frequency of that, and they know the language, and so they recognize it. So part of the healing is getting the frequency to connect with something inside of them when it comes to healing. That's why it's always better, like Andrew Weil said, to hook up with somebody who's healed from what you have. There's something very powerful about it. Better than a doctor saying something is someone who's healed from what you have. And I went through the grinder. My book's long on purpose because I wanted to slow down my story and put it out in very great detail. I wanted them to know me and what I went through, and to let them know, if I can heal, you can heal. And I've seen hundreds of thousands of people heal from that book already, from weird things, by the very weird things that I couldn't even imagine. It's working. So the audio is very exciting.
Okay, so that brings, I mean, there's something I thought of when you said about living in the moment. I just want to mention, and it's weirdly I saw this scientist talking about something, and she said the only an affirmation that will help you achieve happiness, and she's been using it for 5 years, and I've started using it just to like see if it would work. But it does a weird head trick. It's these are the good days. And
I like it.
immediately it makes me I immediately have to I start an argument with myself about like, I realize that I walk around thinking, oh, in the past, and if two things. I was so great in the past. If I could ever get to that again, life would be great. Skipping right over the present. These are the good days, makes you realize, well, I have all this stuff now. And immediately your brain starts thinking about what you have now, what your life's like now, the good things now. Immediately it tricks you into gratitude.
Yes, it's a very good one. People often ask me about affirmations, and Yogananda wrote a book on them in 1923. But um, I think the most powerful one for healing is "I'm safe,"
Mm.
because all the people I work with are in fight flight. From childhood trauma or perception, skewed perceptions. But the amygdala fires on, and like Dr. Sarno said, it hits the hypothalamus, and the body is disrupted now. The autonomic nervous system is disrupted. And the autonomic nervous system is responsible for sleep rhythms, digestion, breathing, blood flow, all those things that are health problems. And so we want that autonomic nervous system to be free flowing in beautiful harmony and at peace, of course, but the mind is disrupting it. And so, very important to say I'm safe, because what an affirmation does is, and even that one that you just said, it disrupts the fight flight response immediately. I'm not in danger anymore. These are the good days.
Okay, so So let me ask you, I found the reason I found the Great Pain Deception is because I had quite a few years of kind of traumatic hospital things, falls, fractures. I had a bit of bad luck. I think people get through times, and I credit it because I was holding on, like trying so hard, determined to keep living the life I was supposed to live as opposed to the life I wanted to live.
Mhm.
And my body was trying to tell me something, long story short. But I found the medical industry hugely harming, hugely harmful to me. I found if I Googled something, it would just tell me that I had cancer or I was going to die. And it was always bent toward, you better lose weight. It was the message I got anytime I read anything or heard anything. It's all your fault. And when you go to doctors, I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, you're always aware it's the NHS, they're short on money, you have 15 minutes, you'd better only ever mention one symptom at a time. But one symptom could be something else. And if you start to try to tell them, could this be linked to all these other things? Then you're a hypochondriac. And so we brought up Google. I have to say, one day out of desperation, I went because I don't like the groups, the chronic fatigue groups and everything. And it's fair enough for people that find help in community, but I find it hugely negative. I find it just gives me ideas about new symptoms and what they could be and everyone else's fear. I can literally feel other people's fear piling on you, like when you're already feeling not in a great place. So I went on ChatGPT and I said, I have this, and this. And ChatGPT, to be fair, said, it looks like you've got this. And each response made sense. It did make sense. I'm sorry, it made sense. But just to check, I went to the pharmacist and said, look, what about these medicines? You know, antihistamine, whatever. It said, I think you have mast cells activation, this and that. Nothing tell. I'm not even going to ask ChatGPT the cause of it because I suspect, having read enough of your book and Dr. Sarno, that the key to, tell me if I'm getting this wrong, the key to not having all these symptoms is to stop chasing these symptoms and to start chasing wellness and being well and being healthy, and that your body is in panic trying to heal, so it's creating symptoms to get your attention. Am I wrong about that? Could you, because
Oh,
as we said, it's been years since I've read the book. So can you tell us where I've gone wrong? And
that's right. The problem, well, there's many problems, I guess, if you view them as problems, that the medical industry, like, which is includes the doctors, of course, they focus on symptoms. Oh, it's pain. Let's cut it. Let's stab it. Let's poke it. Let's numb it. Let's medicate it. It doesn't work.
yeah,
Dr. Sarno said they modern doctors treat their patients like car mechanics. know, oh, it's numb. Well, let's stab it. Well, let's do this. And they're treating the symptom, which is not what healing's about at all. And we
yeah,
know because it's a failed model. It's the American model. I work with people in every country in the world. Dr. Sarno's books are in 50 languages. I've worked in almost every country in the world. It's the same in every country. It's a failed model. It's based on finances and money. You know, oh, if we can, if your finger hurts, well, let's numb it. It won't hurt anymore. But they're not getting to why it hurt. Dr. Sarno got to the cause of the symptom. That's what real healing's about, getting to the cause of the symptoms. And the doctors don't have time to do that because they'd have to talk to you. Like the TMS doctors talk to you for an hour to 2 hours when they talk to you. Many people I work with tell me, my doctor never looked at me, Steve. He came in the
yeah.
room, he looked at the chart and scribbled something and went to the next room. Yeah. Dr.
Yeah,
Sarno.
and you lose weight and exercise, lose weight and exercise. Okay, what do I do about the fact that I can barely function. Lose weight and exercise.
Well, you can make money doing that, you know.
Yeah.
It always helps. Exercise, of course, always helps. Weight, like Andrew Weil said, you know, the studies show that when you're a child, being overweight can be bad for health.
Yeah.
Midlife, it could be actually beneficial. An older person, irrelevant, he said. Irrelevant.
Oh, really? Oh, I love Dr. Sarno even more
Yeah.
than I did
Dr.
before.
Weil said that. Dr. Andrew Weil.
Oh, Andrew, wow. I
Remember
mean, I'm
him?
trying, and to be fair, I am losing weight, but I found out how to do it my own way.
It's all
That's
about
the,
feeling good. Do you feel good is the thing.
yeah, well, do you know what I did? I stopped because I was getting pressure to go on Ozempic. A lot of pressure.
Mm.
And I'm a paranoid person. I take a supplement and I like start reading all the information leaflets and freaking out about it and imagining things. So I thought if I'm doing this shot, first of all, I don't even like the idea of a shot. But if I'm doing, I'm not putting it down for other people. Everyone's got their own journey. And I thought to myself, what is the problem? The problem is you're eating for other things than eating. You've had a
Mhm.
long, disordered diet history where you're starving yourself and food has become this weird, you're not taking it away from me reward. So all I did in April last year was I said, I'm going to have 2 meals a day, which works for me, which means I end up fasting, but it's not about fasting. I have 2 meals a day. They have to include some fiber, protein, eat a lot of vegetables, have some fruit with it. You can have whatever you want in those meals. You're not counting points and calories and weird things, just 2 meals a day, and you are not eating anything in between meals. Simple. And I've lost 5 pounds a month every month since.
The restriction dieting, they're calling that today, I guess. It is a window that you can eat within.
Yeah, but I'm not messing with that because when you're a dieter and you start doing that, then it's like it's coming from outside you.
Yeah.
For my only focus was making sure I got enough proper sit down prepared food in a meal so that I'm not going to be hungry later. That's it. I don't diet at all. Naturally, I ended up not eating, at night, but basically it's like I'm not snacking. I'm just eating two proper healthy meals a day. And I don't want to snack. I can't, the thought of eating for no reason at 10 o'clock at night
Mm.
just feels odd to me. So, but that's me. Other people could be different. But I think like when you turn off, I think this is the point. When you turn off the external noise and listen to your body, it seems easy, like you don't have to do anything.
I work with a lot of people with eating issues, you know, the three major ones, but it's part of the TMS thing that Dr.
Is
Sarno
it?
uncovered. Yes, you know, there are emotional eaters when they're depressed, you know. Dr. McKenzie taught me about that long ago, that people like to stuff themselves when they're anxious or depressed because he said it's reflecting back in the two trauma mechanism back to the first trauma when there were babies drinking out of a bottle. When the baby would fill its belly up with the milk, it would sleep. You know, all its
Yeah.
problems went away. And so it remembers that. Oh, I'll stretch the stomach out and I'll get relaxed. You know, because mommy's there, you know, with the bottle, all those things, right? And then of course there are other things. The Karen Carpenter end, you know, the Dying for Perfection is the name of her documentary, which is Dr. Sarno's work, you know, and histamine intolerances. And I've seen quite a few of them, and they're all better, all of them, once they understand the TMS work, you know. And you know, I saw Brad Pitt on talking about. He said, I found myself always going, having to get something, have to get a sandwich or a beer or a drink or something, you know. That's part of it. And in my first book, The Great Pain Deception, I mentioned in the appendices about Oprah Winfrey's uh, coach, Bob Green, I think was his name, Bob Green. He said, whenever Oprah would get stressed, she would run to the refrigerator. He said, once I got her to see why she was doing that, she stopped doing that. And she said, then all of her neck spasms and migraines came back. That's right, because eating is a TMS equivalent to pain and disease and those other.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, my eyes started. Oh my God, all the histamine stuff came back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm losing weight. How come I've got all this stuff coming back? I'm supposed to be healthy now. Oh, wow. I can't wait for your book to come out so I can listen to
I
it.
didn't read the appendices though, because it would have taken another year.
Oh,
It's
you're not supposed to.
oh,
You're
that's
not
good.
supposed to.
I didn't read the footnote. Well, actually, I read a couple footnotes that I thought if I don't read these footnotes, it's not going to make sense what I said. But I looked down at them. That's extra stuff they can go look at,
That's
for
exactly right. Not in an audiobook.
well, I
Not
did it
front
right.
matter or back matter unless it makes a difference to the story.
Well, then I did it right. Well, it's common sense, I guess. But I basically lost my voice. My voice hasn't recovered from reading that. I don't know how you do it.
Well,
Uh,
tell me about it. So tell me about the journey. So like, what did you do to start the audiobook as a writer?
well, as on your prompting, um, I already had the equipment because, like I said, I wanted to produce music in my life in the 90s. I started a little independent record company, Silver Cord Records. It's on the spines of the books if you see it. And so I already had the microphones and the interfaces and the amps and the monitors and all that stuff. So I said, I got to start. This is a big project. It's a dense book. The information and language are very complicated at times because it's all psychological medical terms.
Yeah.
And so I read it a few times and got halfway done. I said, I don't like it at all. I stopped and started all over again. I just didn't like it. And so I thought, all right, this time I'm going to get serious because I was trying to do it in between, but I needed to focus only on it. Everybody's been asking for it for years. And so I said, all right, I'm stopping everything. I'm going to focus only on this. So that was a couple years ago. It took me about 2 years. And so I started to read it. And then I learned, that, hey, I don't have control over my vocal cords and breath, I can hear it. I don't like it, and then you
Yeah.
start listening to professional people like you and you say, okay, I'm learning. I'm learning, because I'm running out of breath at the end. I use something in my book called M dashes. I don't know if you know what those are in writing. They're,
I hear that Chat GPT does that a lot, doesn't it? The AI, people complain that AI does it.
I don't
It's
know, maybe, but instead of a hyphen, an M dash is a really wide dash. That way you
yeah.
don't have to use punctuation. So my sentences could be 50 words long. Try saying that in one breath.
Yeah. Narrators love writers like you.
Yeah. I learned to try to do one piece in one breath and I couldn't do it. And it sounds terrible. So I learned to pause in the middle of a sentence and take a natural breath and just move on like you're having a conversation. And I saw it as frequencies that I was saying to people. I'm sending frequencies. That's all I'm measuring here and recording is frequencies,
Yeah.
and they'll hear that frequency. And if they understand the language, they'll understand what I'm saying. So you put emphasis in it, which artificial intelligence is
Yeah.
lousy at.
They can't share energy. They don't have a soul.
There's no consciousness,
Yeah.
there. There's no and I remember Eckhart Tolle saying, whatever you do, you got to put consciousness into it, which is I did when I wrote the book. That's why I think it's doing so well. I put
Yeah.
my heart into it. I put meaning into it when I wrote it down, and they read it that way. And so I did it with the audiobook, But then I thought, I've I've listened to long audiobooks. I listen to Autobiography of a Yogi almost every morning, and it's one of the greatest books ever written. And it's narrated by Ben Kingsley, the actor who won the Oscar.
Oh
And
my, I mean, we all wish we could do what Ben Kingsley
yeah,
does.
and he's got an interesting voice. I guess they thought he sounds Indian. Let's let him read it like Yogananda's voice. But it irritates the hell out of your ear after a while. The same voice for hours and hours and hours.
See, I think I love him. I love him.
Oh,
But
I love him
that's,
too.
but
But
the thing you learn is that don't read the reviews when the audiobook comes out
yeah,
because they're
I've never read a book review ever on
good,
any
because
of my
the
books.
audio reviews are meaningless. You will have a group of people, you sound like the uncle that they hate,
Oh
and they
yeah,
will like evicerate you. And
I
then you'll have
know
a
that
bunch
makes
that love
sense.
you.
People they love to tell their opinion. They can't wait to write a review. But I've never looked at a book review of mine unless somebody wants me to. They say, Steve, I want you to read the nice review I write. Yeah, I'll read it. But I don't want to, I don't need to hear criticism because I know that what I wrote is right and true and they don't understand it. So why listen to them? And I don't want my ego stroked by people saying you're good, because then if my ego gets involved, I'm not going to be good at all what I do. You know,
It's external validation is all it is, whether it's good or bad, and then you bring that in with you and you can't do your job.
yeah. Well, you won't be as effective. You always got to
Yeah.
be trying. You're satisfying the ego, and it can never be satisfied. It wants
Yeah.
more, and it wants more, and then it wants more. So yeah, it was quite a project. He's in mastering a long time. He said there's a lot of remnants in there. I learned that the weird your mouth can make weird noises. I just these raindrop things. If the
Yeah.
frequency is all hit right, it's where did that come from?
Yeah, and mouth clicks. They say eat apples.
Yeah,
Um,
I found
after what?
hydrating was better. Apples, I tried that too, but hydration is one of the worst problems in healthcare, or I should call it sick care because it's not healthcare at all. But once you're hydrated, your body starts to become healthier. Then it didn't click anymore. You could take those out if you wanted to globally. You could sample one frequency and do that as well. But the mastering end is too hard. I let somebody else do that. It would take me years to learn how to
Yeah,
master properly. Just pay somebody who's good on it, who's
yeah,
really good
that's
at it.
good.
So I recorded it. I got better, and so I kept starting over, get better and better. But I'll never be happy with it because I struggle with perfectionism, which was the thing that caused my health problems. But I want it to be effective. I don't care if somebody doesn't like my voice. I don't like my voice. I like your voice. When you came in, that's why I hired you and Rich, because I wanted to break up my voice. And my book is riddled with quotes, if you remember, quotes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I went right to the source, the person who said it. And so when I made a point with my book, like several paragraphs, I would have the original person come in and had you say the female voices, had Rich say the male voice. It really came out nice, I thought, because it gives
Oh,
them a
how
break from my
exciting.
ear. And what it does is it leaves that frequency in your brain, what you said and Rich said, and then I give them like a several second gap before I start talking again. That let that settle in their brain what you just said. So I'm looking for the effectiveness of it. I want it to heal people. I don't really care if they like my voice or not.
So let's talk about that. So are you, for the sake of the audience, I know you've probably done this a million times and you're sick of it, but for the sake of the audience who isn't familiar with Dr. Sarno, who isn't familiar with your work, um, could you fill them in on just, an overview? It's hard to say, can you summarize 20 years worth of
Yeah,
study and work into,
25 years,
but
yes.
but just so they understand the concept.
Yes, so like I said, I came into this world with health problems, a host of them, rheumatic fever, damaged heart valve, yada, yada, yada. In the 1990s, my health was so bad and I had back pain for 30 straight years. But I had all kinds of health problems, probably 50 some health problems. And I was near dead, really. I lost 50 pounds without trying. I couldn't eat anymore. I couldn't walk anymore. I was leaving this world. Found Dr. Sarno's work through an act of serendipity. A friend of mine introduced me to it, and I thought Sarno was a quack. I thought he was a crazy man. I thought he was like a telemarketer guy because it sounded too good to be true. But I had to get worse before I would open up to him. And I did. I was bad. And I opened up to his work and it healed me. I took his advice and I started pulling on this thread, and it's this whole new world opened up. It's basically Michael Singer's work when he says, open up, stay open to anything that's coming your way, stay open. Well, I didn't. And that's why people are suffering today, by the way. They're closing down, they're not staying open because the universe is sending them everything they need to help them and they're not paying any attention. So I healed and I thought, you know what? I need to share this with the world because the Buddha said once he had awakened fully, well, I haven't awakened fully, but I've awakened more. He said he thought about keeping it to himself because he knew he would be attacked. And he was right. And Dr. Sarno was attacked, and I get attacked. Anybody who has the truth, they're always attacked because
What
ignorance.
do you mean attacked? People send you letters or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, not physically yet, but Yeah, emails, letters, in person, But
But there's
Sarno,
nothing you're saying. How can anyone have anything? You're not saying to do any weird miracle drugs. You're, I don't understand. How can anybody find anything wrong with what you're saying?
they're offended. They're offended.
Oh,
Like they get a doctor's X-ray. It says you've got a herniated disc. That's why your back's hurting. And when I tell them it's not, herniation has nothing to do with it. Herniated discs do not cause back pain, by the way, at all. It's been proven clinically and through studies. They get offended. They get angry, because
people want to hold on to their. I remember they told me that I wasn't supposed to be walking because my knee was so arthritic, and I was walking 18,000 steps a day.
yeah,
Like, my knee doesn't hurt me at all because
they
I
used
just
to tell
never
me
thought it did.
your core is too weak. They told me in the 1980s, your core is too weak. I said, my core of my body. I was a bodybuilder. I was squatting 390 pounds and benching 320, and then my core is really weak. I was doing 600 sit-ups. My friend over there who doesn't do anything, he has no back pain at all. It didn't make sense to me, But that's the medical industry just says things that aren't true.
And I've got to say, you and I had a Zoom call in like 2016 or something. Um, you look like an entirely different person. You
Yeah.
like, it's like you looked fine then, but I was a bit like I almost didn't recognize you.
Oh,
So,
I'm getting
you,
older.
but are you, no, but in a way that you like healthy, like vibrantly healthy. Like, do you feel really well? I mean, you look like you feel really well.
Yeah, and like I told you, my dad died 2 weeks ago, so I just went through a pretty tough time. But because I'm in this state, I handled it better. And I do feel well. I feel better than I've ever felt
You
today. And
look
when I was
younger
younger,
than you did 10 years ago. And I know
yeah,
young is just subjective, but
well, yeah, I do feel not 10 years old, but I feel about 40. I'm not moving as fast as I used to feel, but it's all about that the mind is the builder and how you perceive the world and increasing your consciousness. Dr. Sarno expanded the consciousness of our planet. He showed us that the medical industry was wrong. These things aren't really diseases or caused by the body here. They are emotional processes for the most part. There's always anomalies, always.
are you familiar with the Langer experiment, the age experiment?
I'm writing a new book and I'm citing her.
I'm obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with that experiment because I'd like I'm obsessed with it. The putting the old people in the home and turning the clocks back so everything they saw was from
1950s, I think it was. Yeah, they
yeah. And they
and
were like physiologically younger when they came out, and in 2 weeks they suddenly aged again.
yes, yeah, they measured their telomeres somehow. I don't know how they do it, but then the Framingham study, what was that town in Pennsylvania where nobody ever had a heart attack? It was in a little Italy town.
Oh
And
wow, I didn't know
the
about that
doctors
one.
were just amazed by it. Nobody ever had a heart problem at all in the whole town. And so they went in, the psychologists went in, scientists went in, and they were taking blood samples and DNA samples and everything. But the psychologists figured it out. They were like a family. Nobody worked outside the town. When somebody died, the whole town came out to take care of them and took care of them. When somebody's birthday, the whole town came out to celebrate.
So
They
they
were
felt
one
safe.
unit, yeah, safe and loved and as a unit. Then in the 1980s, I think it was, people started fragmenting like our society has. They started working outside the town. They had their first death from heart attack later. But up until that point, it's that community of love and the family taking care of one another. That those are the people who don't usually have health problems. It starts in the family unit. I'm not
Yeah.
blaming the family, but that's where it starts. Because different people, there's been people who've had bad family experiences and they come out fine because of how they react to it. Trauma depends on how you react to it. That's all. Everybody's traumatized, but some
But
people,
if you've always reacted a certain way, do you think it's ever too late to change, or do you think that's who you are?
that's a good question. I remember Dr. McKenzie telling me if a gazelle escapes the attack of a lion, it has to use the same maneuver every single time. It will do the same thing each time to escape it. And but then Dr. Sarno said it's never too late to have a happy childhood, you know, which is a different way of looking at it, a different way of escaping it. It's changing your perception. We can always change our perception, which increases our health and makes us happier. But the key here is to take it further, like Thich Nhat Hanh did and the Buddha did, is have no perception at all, no views at all, no opinions at all. Just live in the moment like a 10-year-old. That's the key, you know. But if you keep hanging on to the loved ones and you're hanging on to what someone said to you or fearing the future, you're always outside the present moment. And that stories are like albatrosses that pull us down. They destroy us at some point.
So
Did that answer that question? I don't know if it answered it or not.
it does. So if you so am I right that Dr.
I'm
Sarno?
Batman. I'm
Oh, I love
Batman.
that.
TMS Batman.
I love that. I love that. But am I right that Dr. Sarno believes, as do you, am I right, that your symptoms are your body trying to tell you something, but not necessarily telling you. So if your symptom is back pain, your body isn't necessarily saying there's something wrong with your back. Your body is trying to get your attention.
Like I said, there's an infinite number of perspectives to look at it, but one of them we just talked about. It's energy. That's the way when I began to see my back pain of 30 years, I was holding energy in my back, which he called anger, because anger is an energy force, right? My back began to heal more rapidly. Oh, the doctors have been wrong for 30 years. There's nothing wrong. The stenosis is bad. There's no discs left, but that wasn't causing it. None of that was causing the pain. Osteoarthritis wasn't causing the pain at all. I was holding anger energy in my back. Then I began to heal, because the healing mechanism is always the same: knowledge. If you remember, he called it knowledge therapy. But in spiritual, which I do, I teach spiritual healing now. In spirituality, knowledge means truth, and the truth will set you free. Jesus said it: the truth will set you free. There's nothing wrong with your back. It's the truth. It's you're angry inside because of holding on to stories, albatrosses, fearing the future, all of these things. But that's only one perspective. You know, you can go higher or deeper and say, hey, it's a mind perspective because I've got opinions. You know, let's just say something happens to traumatic to you. What if you don't have any opinion on it? It's not going to affect your health. But if you're devastated by it, it's going to take you down fast, you know. So the Buddha called it attachment disorder. You know, stop attaching yourself to things and you will heal at that point, you know. It's very difficult to do because the ego likes to latch onto things, you know. It's the thing that always likes to go against everything. It needs praise all the time. And when I say your ego, I mean your mind. The mind is the ego itself. It's a collection of thoughts. And so
So the
people have,
people that get mad at you because you challenge their view of whatever their affliction is, they're drinking the poison of the thoughts about their affliction because that's all they have
yes,
to
it's
protect them from whatever it is they're subconsciously avoiding.
exactly. Sarno proved this clinically. This is not theory and hypothetical stuff. This is proven.
I remember that's what I liked about, because even at the time I was very, very analytical. That was the word I was looking for
Yeah,
earlier. I was very analytical. I've got a very strong, I live my life on a spreadsheet
you're
marked
right.
by every 15 minutes until I'm 100. And I've had it since I was like 8 before Excel started writing it down. I'm an analytical person, but there was something in Dr. Sarno's studies and in your book that appealed to that part of my brain. It wasn't all just, we say it is because we're all going to go to a
Yeah, he had
commune.
clinical proof.
Yeah.
He proved clinically that, let's just use back pain for one example. It could be pain anywhere, that your brain is creating the pain to divert your awareness to your body, to make you think that it's a spine problem and not away from the rage, because rage is unacceptable in society. We don't like to see ourselves that way. And so when they attack me or Sarno, I know, as A Course in Miracles says, you're not angry for the reason you think you are. It's always a different reason. That I'm threatening to bring out the truth in them, and it ignites this fury inside them. And I was mad at Sarno. I threw his book. If you remember, I threw his book because I thought he was a quack. And now I teach his work because
I
I
remember forcing yourself to go out and run or walk or something
yeah,
when like you didn't believe you could. You were
yeah.
overriding
Well,
the
I had a
part.
paralyzed leg. My foot was hanging down, foot drop from back pain, and there was no more reflexes in it. That the rubber hammer and they in my knee or foot, and they said, "You're never going to get that back because it's pinched." Well, I'm reading Sarno. They're telling me it's pinched. I'm reading him. He's going, "Nothing's being pinched at all." And so I get the X or the MRI, and it shows that it's pinched. So I think Sarno's crazy, but he was right. It wasn't pinched. It wasn't pinched. And so he said the most important thing is to become physical again, to get active again. But the most difficult thing also, because when your legs, I had I lost my foot, my calf, and my hamstring in my left leg, but I still had the quadricep in the knee, so I could stand up. But he's saying you got to run again. Oh man, I couldn't even breathe from the pain, but I did. And I told that story in my book. And after I was done, I felt better. He said, you will, if you got to move, you got to move. You play right into the teeth of the pain if you lay down all the time. You
I
lay around.
read somewhere that when you move, you're putting one foot in, the act of putting one foot in front of the other is telling your body that you have to keep going. And when you stop, your body's, you're thinking you're stopping. But you see, so what my current challenge, last year I tried to beat it. Um, I went through a rough time, as did a lot of people with the pandemic. But whereas I stayed home and wouldn't go out because I was not going to get that thing. I don't care what these bastards do, they're not breathing on me. And unfortunately, then when I started trying to go out and walk again, I would get post-exertional malaise. Like I would come home, I'd be fine for a few hours, and then I would like crash. Like I couldn't wake up. I couldn't wake up. I'd like go to sleep, and it would be like a week before I could do the basic little things. Um, so last November, I thought, well, I'm gonna do this. So I went for a half hour walk around the park, and then I crashed the next day. 2 days or something, I went back out to that park and I went from like 2 days the first week. I built up. First week of December, I got 4 walks in 1 week. I'm gonna do it. I got so sick. I crashed. I got like evidently tonsillitis or whatever. I don't remember most of December. Like I just remember thinking, this is like, so what do you do when like you are going to go out and do it anyway, and your body goes, nope, don't want to do it.
That's why I think he said it was the most difficult thing to do. And you're experiencing what I called phase 4 TMS right there. After
Oh,
after the battle's over. Dr. Sarno mentioned that water cannons work on these soldiers in World War II or World War I as well, that they got their foot or leg blown off in battle. They didn't even know it. They weren't in any pain at all because they were still in fight flight trying to survive. But when they were on the stretcher taking them away from the battlefield, the pain came in because they had time for it. See, when you're active in the day, which is why people stay busy all the time, you're trying to avoid emotional pain. It's a
oh.
problem.
So
Trying.
is phase 4 better or worse than like phase 1, phase 2?
Well, the,
It's,
the TMS doctor said, be careful because you'll make them think there's different types of TMS. So I read that in the book. I read it in the audiobook. They're not different types. They're different phases of the timing of the onset and
oh, oh,
post
oh.
post in event is the most common. The most common is after something's done, like a wedding or a graduation or maybe a big project that you do. That's when the health problems come in because you're engaged in battle during, and there's no problem. Why is that happening? Because you're present. That's all. You're present when you're fighting in the war. You're present when you're working. You're present when you're in the middle studying for final exams. You can't have the health problems as much unless you're really breaking down at that point. Then into phase
So
four.
is the answer to be present every single day?
Yes, every moment. Or as Eckhart Tolle says, find joy in every moment, every single moment.
Okay. Okay. So no rest.
Yeah. Well, you can find joy in rest. As a matter of fact, when you study the great spiritual teachers, they talk about getting comfortable with doing nothing, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable as well. In the moment, always in the moment. That's what your friend, that maxim or aphorism you said earlier, I forget what it was already. These are the good days or something like that.
Oh yeah, these are the good days.
That's what Tolle's point is. You could say these are the good moments. That's even more accurate. Yeah.
It's his voice. Is it horrible to say? I have to get used to it's what we were talking about voices. We all have our different voices listening to. I think I'll read Tolle's stuff.
Some people say I like his voice. It soothes me. Like Dr. Sarno's voice soothed me. But some people say I hated Sarno's voice. I say really because it really relaxed me. But it's all perspective.
Yeah, we all have different. Oh, believe me, from the auditions we do.
Oh, you
Some
know
people
better than
love
I do.
you. Yeah, some people love you, some people hate you. I had somebody walk up outside. I've had a couple of incidents in my life where people walked up to me in public and screamed at me to shut up because they couldn't stand the sound of my
Yeah, I
voice.
like I like your voice too. That's the reason I hired you. I like
Oh,
your voice.
thank you very
It's a
much.
very soothing voice. It's a very confident voice, very articulate. The enunciation is just natural. It's nice.
Thank you.
Rich did a
Well,
good job too. Rich has got this voice like Darth Vader.
oh,
This
I
big
mean, Rich has
husky
got
voice.
the voice. I mean, Rich could be the voice of, you know what I mean? The voice you hear before you go to the movies.
Yeah,
He's got that
yeah.
voice.
The engineers were saying, you got this guy, he's got this is CNN voice, and then your voice comes on. I'm Steve Ozanich, right next to it. What about that juxtaposition? I said,
No, you've got quite a good, I bet you sound good. I can't wait for the book because I'm quite aware that yeah, I can't in an hour-long call do TMS or the Great Pain Deception justice. I can't even touch on the subject matter in a short
I
podcast.
can't either. I can't. It's very complex.
I'm dying to listen. I'm dying to listen to the audiobook. I just literally can't wait. And I'm going to, we discussed this earlier. I'm going to time the release of this video on YouTube. So the audiobook should be available when this book
Sounds
is
good.
released. So when this video is released. So as you're watching this video, you can go straight to the audiobook or the book on Amazon, whichever you prefer. But the audiobook's going to be great. So
The engineer said it sounds pretty good so far.
I bet it does. I bet it does. I
Um,
bet. So is it done recording?
well, I want to hear it back, and if I want to change some things, I'll probably patch a few things up if I do. But I listened to it so many times. Although in my paperback book right here, it's blue now. It's got a blue cover. I had it looked over by two editors, and I read it every day for months, and two great editors. And then I decided to go with a fourth editor, and she found 200 errors.
Wow.
200 because there's always going to be an error in the paperback. And even the audio. When you're reading it, I'm reading it, I'm holding the book, I'm recording it, and I go listen to it. Oh, I forget to say that word right there. My
Yeah.
mind put the word in, but I didn't say the word.
And when you're a new narrator, you're always a bit shocked. Like, oh my God, have I forgotten how to speak? I can't believe I made that mistake. But then you learn, you always make a mistake. Like nobody doesn't have pickups. The thing for writers is once you narrate a book, yours was heavily proofed before you narrated it. But if it hadn't been, you would have caught those mistakes in the act of narrating it.
Yeah. Well, I caught a mistake reading it that
Yeah,
nobody's caught. The hundreds of thousands of books that have sold, no one saw it. And I laughed. I said, this is the first time anybody will hear it. I can't believe all these people that write to me. You know who Edgar Cayce is? Edgar
yeah,
Cayce. He was a prophet in the early 1900s. I said Edward Cayce in the book, Edward instead of Edgar. And I was reading it. I went, wait a minute, that's not right. So recording it made me go over my book better and slower than when I wrote it. It forced
Yeah.
me to go over it. And so I fixed all kinds of things as I went along, But that book came out well. It's tightened up quite a bit. Eckhart Tolle's agent is my agent now because of this work. And so he
Wow.
wanted me to,
Don't tell them I mentioned the voice.
yeah.
I don't want to be sued. He's lovely, lovely, wonderful, and I'm sure millions of people love the voice.
He wouldn't have any opinion on it. He lives in the moment. He would laugh probably. I think he's hilarious too. But it's certain things. Certain voices bother certain people. I've come across only one voice in an audiobook that I didn't couldn't stand the voice, but it's just probably from our history. Maybe
It
when we
is.
were
It's
children.
things trigger. I cannot listen to vocal fry. I hate it. And I know lots of interviews have come out and articles about how people that don't like vocal fry, it's against women, that, people are so judgy about women's voices and they never do it for men's voices. But there are certain men's voices I hate as well.
Mm.
They're affectations that subconsciously don't feel natural to me. And
Well,
I don't
it's
like it.
in
I
our
just don't like it.
memory. Like if you're an abused child and maybe there was food cooking, you smell that food later on in life and you hate that smell.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody with a certain sounding voice yelled at you when you were 5 or 6 years old. That's in your memory. And now when you listen to that again, you don't like that voice. But
Yeah.
if somebody treated you real sweet with a voice, you would love that voice forever. So it's screened through the prism of our mind. The mind is the
Yeah.
builder. It's the builder.
And you get to a certain age. I used to think, oh, that's true. And I used to want to fix all these bits. And now sometimes I'm just like, oh, well, whatever. It'll be my quirk.
Getting comfortable with yourself in the present moment, it's part
Yeah.
of the healing process as well. And you've been going through it. You're a different person than when I first met you.
Oh,
You
totally.
know,
Do you know what? I look back at conversations I've had with friends or online people, and I wish I could take back who I was then because I've changed as a human being. Like even just 275 calls or 250 interview calls, I am a completely different person. And all those are out there now,
yeah,
recorded. If you grab the wrong call,
yeah.
like but I can't, I'm not going to take them down. I was who I was. You can't take
It's
it
part of
back.
it. It was the building blocks to get you where you are today. So it was important that you went through that. And they're different people too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not all of them. Some people never change and they struggle. The people who never change is the most important thing. We're here to change. We're here
Yeah.
to grow, and if we don't grow, what happens is disease comes in. The ancient Chinese healers said that disease is a rigidity inside that human being, which is exactly right.
That's
Anger.
why I get so triggered by the online, the social media, the scarcity, the fear of AI, the people are coming to get our jobs, because instinctively, I feel that you can't fight what is. You have to find your way around. I just feel like this, I don't want things to change, is a surefire disaster.
I was watching this YouTube, this old video, this guy who fought in the Civil War. He was still alive in like 1920 or something like that, or 30. And they had this old video of him, and they were saying, what's the difference between, now, 1920 or 30, and Civil War? Those damn telephones, he said. They got them in houses now. The world's moving too fast. I can't take this. It was all his head was spinning because the world was moving too fast because of the fun. Every generation has had to deal with it. Every generation, but nothing's moved as fast as AI. It's lightning fast.
Yeah.
So when they asked me in that lecture I gave in Columbus, Ohio, what do you think of AI? I said, well, it's going to fill up the court systems because there's going to be so many copyright suits, and
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
can't think of anything worse than an audio. I've had writers come to me crying because they tried AI and now they're being eaten alive by reviewers. People hate it. To me, the sharing of an audiobook is the telling of a story to another human being. It's the oldest right. It's our ancestors did it. When you talk to your animal, you're telling a story, you're sharing your energy. It's it's sacred. So no, I don't think a robot can do it.
Mm.
If they get robots like the Jetsons, I'll be the first one buying one to clean my house.
Jane,
Um,
get me off this
chat,
crazy thing.
what?
Jane, get me off this crazy thing. Was he
Yes, yes,
Jetson? He
yes.
was on the
Yeah.
treadmill.
And the phone, they had the phone where you could see people on video. That was like, I thought the coolest thing. They'd never have that. Now I'm sitting here on Zoom.
Everything's there except the flying car. I don't know if we got there yet, but maybe
It
soon.
is. It's yeah, everything. And but yet, but they're afraid of everything. When it's not AI, it's a lot of competition, new people coming to the business. The industry's changing. Every industry changes.
Mm.
Everything, this happens. It might be happening faster in an accelerated way. And then you can look at it as the end, or you can look at it as an exciting way that we can accelerate us changing.
Yeah, you flow with the times, or you figure it out. The Amish figured it out a long time ago.
Yeah,
The
ignore
Amish got it
it.
right. They got it right. Work
Well,
hard and sleep.
and still fight for the soul and go back to the good stuff. And
Yeah, that's their, I think, their theme, motto is, family, helping one another, things like that. So each his own. We come into this world with a purpose and a mission and an assignment, and we
I
grow.
love the Amish idea. I just think if they could just stage it a little bit better, they could make it a little bit nice, wear some cool, eccentric, maximalist clothes, do a little bit of style. They could,
You should go into their communities and give it a try.
yeah, they could. They've got all the good stuff there already. They could
Their food
just,
probably tastes better. Homegrown food, the store food has no flavor to it anymore.
exactly, exactly. Could take pictures of all that fresh homegrown food, post it on social media, start.
Oh, I think there's some guy on there that's been going in there and posting them. He's got millions of followers now, I think. They don't like to let everybody in because they don't want the outside world corrupting, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
you know, we choose our lives, really. We determine what they're going to be, what direction. I determined to write books. I got married at one time. I decided to live here in Ohio. I made all my decisions, and I
Yeah.
I live with those decisions. I can
But
change my mind.
you made the decision that day that you went out and made yourself walk. You made the decision to back yourself.
Yeah,
You
that
made the you chose hope.
yeah, that well, Dr. Sarno gave me hope. I
Yeah.
was done. As far as the doctors were concerned, I wasn't going to make it through
But you chose to believe him. You didn't have to.
because of his genuineness. He was so genuine. You could see that he was pure and honest when he was saying it. It works every time, just
Everything I've read about him says the same thing.
yeah, he saved my life. I have a picture of him up here. I don't know if you can see it. He was 18
I
years old
see.
right here. He was
Oh,
18.
wow. Yeah.
He
I
going
see
into
it.
medical school.
I see it. I see. Okay.
1940. 1940.
I'm going to hit you with one. I know we said we'd end right on time, but I've got one last question that nobody gets away from. If you could say one thing, one piece of advice, if people don't take anything else away from the call but this one thing, what would you want to leave the audience that's watching this on YouTube in 100 years? What would you want to leave them with?
Ooh,
The
there's
most
like
important thing.
there's like 1,000 things I'd like to tell them. It's taken me 25 years to get here, but one thing
It took one thing away from this call.
that I enjoyed this moment.
I like that. These truly are the good days, aren't they?
Yes, you're a
Yeah.
good person.
Ah, you're right back at you. I can't believe like you marked the beginning of my audiobook career because you were like the first person I ever reached out to
I
and
didn't even know
said,
they did audiobooks. I didn't know anything about it. And then you sent me a nice email. Oh, okay. In the future, I'll get into that because I was still trying to, you know, promote the book at that time.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't worried about the audio because, I didn't know I'd never heard an audio book really before that. But since then, I have hundreds of them in my phone. I listen to them all the time. I listen, I don't read very much,
Yeah.
which sounds weird
Yeah.
from a writer, right? Sounds bizarre from a writer, but I don't learn much from reading. I hear things. That's how I view this world, through my
And
hearing.
I do too. I listen at night before I go to sleep because I can't, I'm marking up man. If I'm going to read, I've got to be reading the next book I'm doing and preparing it and researching it. I don't have time to mess around but at night it's for me.
Then, I was going to ask you before, I got a cold a couple of times and I couldn't record for weeks at a time. I don't know what you do during
I
this.
just don't ever go near anyone. No, I
Yeah.
just don't breathe on me. Don't go near me. I hate you. I don't want your diseases. Because you lose work.
Yeah.
I
Think of a
can't have an
professional.
unscheduled cold. Don't take your germs somewhere else.
So you schedule your colds then?
No, I don't go near anyone that even looks the least bit sick.
Think about these professional singers like Adele and Johnny Mathis, and then, without their voice, how they
Yeah,
protect guitar players' fingers. You got to protect your fingers.
and even if it's not bad enough to lose your voice, I'm in the booth 4 hours a day minimum. So is my voice going to sound different today than it did yesterday?
And
Do you know what I mean?
mine did. You can tell when somebody's tired. I could tell when Ben Kingsley got tired in the autobiography of a yogi. He was slowing down. His voice was getting so. I don't know what kind of schedule he was on, but that's a long book that he read. Very
Yeah,
long.
I sound like a 90-year-old truck driver with a 20 a pack Marlboro habit if I record before I've had my 6 shots of espresso every morning.
I can already envision that. I can hear that in my head. Hey, what's going on?
It is. It's health takes on a whole new, and then the thing about it is when you do a job like that, people don't, because I stand recording, I don't sit, and people don't realize, I think that saved me from being completely out of shape, um, just working every day for years. But you've got to keep your health up. You've got to
Yeah.
train like an athlete to keep this job
To,
going.
to I noticed it got better and better as I learned, as I got more experience, of course, to use my whole body to talk, all the
Mm.
muscles, to get it to come out smooth sounding, because you want it to be real soft and real loud. To keep it going, it takes all the energy out of you. It takes a lot of work, you know.
And then to connect. It's easier in your case because they are your words.
It was my
So
story.
yeah. But when you're
It was
doing,
very painful for me to read my story again. It was painful.
well, I'm surprised that you listen back to it. Even a lot of narrators won't listen back to their own stuff.
Well, I wanted to see how bad does this sound, or how good did this sound,
But you won't be able to judge. I know
No.
you're an engineer and you're used to listening, but I would be shocked if you could get your ego to disappear so much that you could objectively judge your own voice.
Yeah, you know, it'll always be, I can always make it better to me, always make it
Yeah,
better. But
that's the problem.
that's the problem. What was a problem with my health? And so Dr. Sarno talked about perfectionism, and that connected immediately with me.
Yeah.
Perfectionists, they're always angry.
Sharing the energy has to be enough. And I say this in case any newbie narrators are watching this, because I know that journey so well. They start narrating and they listen back. And yes, you want to be able to listen with a critical ear. It's part of the journey in the beginning, a little bit. But sending it to somebody else to master is the best thing you ever did. Because what narrators do is they go back in and they analyze it and they try to take out every single breath, or they try to make it sound exactly the way all the audiobooks they love sounded like. And then they get more and more into it in their own head and they hear their voice and it never sounds good enough. And they convince themselves, what am I doing wrong? But really, now they've taken the focus off. The only thing that matters, you learn the technical stuff first, you go in and you share your story.
It's all about the connection and getting
Yeah.
my message across.
Yep.
And I told the engineer, I said, listen, I marked them for him. see all these points here? I don't want the breath taken out. I want them to stay in there because
Yeah.
I said something like, I did it.
Yeah.
Or I talk about breathing. Take a nice deep breath. I want that in there because you're
Yeah,
connected.
that's crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
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 more
it's
more powerful than the words.
if breaths are part of it's like the other thing you learn when you start to narrate is that punctuation is part of the manuscript that you're paying attention to.
Yeah, it allows you to pause in your mind, and now
Yeah.
now you're reading it, so you're pausing with your breath. But my book was tough. There were parts of it that were difficult to read because of the type of book it is. It had
Yeah.
psychological medical terms like these neuroimmunological functional transactional translational, and it's like, oh my god, I had to keep reading it and reading it. It was tough.
But do you know another trick for that for when you do your next
I should have
book?
probably asked you for some before I did it.
You get the pronunciation, right? Like off Merriam-Webster or whatever, and record it on your phone. And then you go into the voice recorder on your phone, and you all you have to do is type in the first letter of the word for words that reappear over and over that are hard to pronounce. Um, and immediately you search it and you listen to it again when it comes up. So that and you're not having to stop what you're doing. You've got that word because um I'm gonna butcher it now because I don't have it in front of me, but Nadia Tolokonikova. I think
Uh,
that's how it was. I have that on my phone because the last book I did, I think 100 times it was mentioned, and every single time I'd forget.
I did that. I had a lot of those. They're
Yeah.
tongue twisters, and you know, it was that was tough. And then there was one chapter just smooth. I bet when you find a book that's written that way, it just flows off your tongue. I think it was chapter 6, which is my favorite chapter in the book, chapter 6. It just flowed. It was really easy. It didn't take long at all. But there are other chapters, like one paragraph took me a long time to get through because of the way it was written. I made a lot of jokes into my book. I don't know if you remember that. And the jokes, I wanted them to come out right. One was there's a healing technique that the ancient Hawaiians used called ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono. The word means to set things straight. Now,
Ho'oponopono.
they said disease and pain come from the family unit. And when something's disrupted that family unit, that's when people get sick. So they bring the whole family together into a unit to set things straight, to forgive each other, to talk it out, to get it out of their system. And it works every time, right? Well, I made a joke and I called it riding the Ho'oponopono pony. That one I had to keep saying over. It was at the end of the sentence, the Ho'oponopono pony. I did it to myself. I know I did it to myself. And then I did some impressions. I talked about Homer Simpson, the cartoon. I tried to do his voice. I talked about some other people. I tried to do their voice, which I'm not pretending to be an impersonator. I just wanted to break it up a little
Oh,
because
it's
I was
so
talking about
funny.
humor. I said, we don't have enough humor in our lives. You know, people get too serious. That's when they have health problems. And so I said, it's important to laugh, you know. So I decided to throw some humor in there, but I don't care if
I'm glad you did that though. I'm glad you did that because you don't have to sound exactly like Homer Simpson,
and it doesn't.
but it is breaking it up is the point.
It's
And
breaking it
I
up.
enjoy that in audiobooks. I like that in audiobooks.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't wait. When is it going to be out again,
I
Steve?
don't know.
Not that I've been
I
bugging
texted
you
him.
for
I
10
texted
years.
him a little bit earlier. I got to get with him now that things are settling down after the funeral. I'll get with him and see. Um, it's going to be fun, but I'm excited about my new book. You know, I started putting together a new one and what I've seen since that book came out. I've seen a lot more since that book came out. You know, but that book still holds true. But
Are you going to record the new one?
I don't know. I don't know what style it's going to be. I'm not quite sure yet. I probably would. I enjoyed it overall. It took a lot of effort, more effort and time than I had imagined, but I probably would if I had time. If I My voice was damaged for a while. I read for months and months and months, and it started getting this like thing in here, you know, and I started getting sprays and stuff, but it's
I
almost
think the longest book I did was 18 and a half hours. Um, and I had to do it in like 2 weeks.
oh,
So, I was
oh,
fine with that, but what I didn't foresee was the amount of research I had to do. Like I was up to like 3 every morning the day before recording, looking up all the words I didn't know.
Oh, to learn how to pronounce. Okay, yeah. There were a couple that I had wrong in my mind. There's a lot of Swedish names, you know. The Morkenarch. Okay, so I got a hold of the colleges. They taught at. I said, "How do you pronounce that teacher's name?" And they would tell me. I was way off in my mind.
You know, a quick hack for that is first go to YouTube, write their name in, interview.
Oh, really?
Almost all anyone that's written a book, a college professor, anyone in that line of work, they've always done an interview with someone.
You know, I probably could have used. Well, I learned a lot. I could do the next book a lot quicker. I was trying to find that name that guy. It was brutal. Brinzinjzik something like that. It was Brzezinski is how you pronounce
Brzezinski.
it. But there was a bunch of them like that that I didn't. When you write a book, you don't care how it's pronounced. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. I'm just spell it. You have to spell
that
it right.
becomes very clear sometimes to
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah. You have to spell it is all. I got to spell it right, right? But now that I have to say it, oh my God, I have to figure out how to say that word.
Now, I know once you narrate your own book, you'll only be sourcing people with a last name like Smith.
Smitty.
Sorry, I'd love to use your quote, but your name, no.
That's right. Can you change your name for me? But there are a lot of strange names in the psychological world and the medical world, and I had to go get every one of them and to try to pronounce them, like you said. And I don't care how I sound as long as they get the message.
Yeah,
Oh, you get
yeah.
the message, you know. A lot of people write to me, I like your voice. I listen to you before I go to sleep at night. I said, so I put you to sleep. I said, no,
No,
it's
no,
very
no, no. I
relaxing.
always listen to my audiobooks before I go to sleep. So that's
I do
that's
too.
no
I
problem.
in the morning too. I would turn it on as soon as I get up. And in the morning, meditate morning and night. I meditate both morning and night, but I usually put an audiobook on. I do them in pieces, you know, certain chapters, and it's all consciousness stuff and healing and spiritual stuff now. I don't study medical stuff anymore at all. It's a waste of time.
I like I'm going through a fiction phase. I'm a big fan of this. The first audiobook I ever listened to, one of the first was Penelope Keith narrating the Agatha Raisin MC Beaton series. It's an English series over here, and I'm not like a comfy, cozy big fan. I normally like heavy thrillers and things, but there's just something about the world. She just brings you into this world and the Cotswolds with this amazing character with them. Penelope Keith is a famous actress, and she's just, it's
Oh
pure
yeah,
delight. And I think they're like on book 34 now. And I've listened to the whole series so many times that
that's
I'm
good.
now listening to it backwards because like every night before I go to sleep, because it's like
Start at the end
cotton
of the book.
candy for the brain.
Start at the end of the book and go to the front.
No, I've started with book
Oh,
34, or I
the
can't remember,
books.
and now I'm on book 7.
Oh,
So,
that's your
so
hobby.
yes, so by the time Great Pain Deception comes out, I shall replace my Agatha Raisin series
All
with it.
right, very good, very good. You know, it'll be fun.
It's
It'll
going
be
to be good. I can't wait. I just
fun.
know that it's going to give me the final puzzle pieces to things that I've been striving to figure out for so long.
It'll be more powerful than reading it.
Yeah,
Much
yeah.
more. Hearing it, hearing the story. I like to hear the story right from the author's mouth. You know,
And I'm also a bit suspicious that any ailment I have happens to coincide with like what body parts I need. Like I'm having problems with my eyes and I'm an audiobook narrator. Like,
yeah,
okay. Like,
that's a deeper part of you resisting it. Remember uh, Gabor Mate's book title? I have
um,
all kinds of props here that I hold up for people when I work with them.
because I remember I used to fall. I had a job I hated going to, and I would fall when the body says no. Yeah, that's exactly. Oh, I've never read that. I might need to look into that.
It's
'Cause,
a
yeah,
good title. It's a good title. I worked with a surgeon in New York who his arm would burn and he couldn't hold the scalpel pain from operating. And I knew before I signed on with him that he didn't want to be operating. You know,
yeah.
it's saying no. There's no. They're not opening up to it. You know, and he.
I fell in bad falls, 50 times in a few years in fractured bad falls, like hospital, fractured bones, fractured shoulder, fractured knee, 50 times in like 4 years. And the minute I left that job I hated, I've never fallen since.
Well, you're a talker, not a walker.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not TMS, of course. That's an actual physical thing that needs to heal. That's a different beast, But that I'm glad. Yeah, that
Yeah,
you're
but
talking about Lynn Grabhorn's work. She talked about that. People getting in accidents aren't accidents.
I love Lynn Grabhorn, but can I just say, like, I've got to end the call. I keep going on and on, but I love Lynn Grabhorn. But then I looked up how she ended, and it freaked me out.
They had that secret for a long time, I think.
But it was like I believed everything she said. I think it was "Excuse me, your life is waiting" or something. It was like this
Yeah, that was
amazing
one of
book.
them, I think. Yeah.
And I was like, everything she said, it's not just the wishing and manifesting, it's the feeling behind it. And I believed all that. And then she had a horrible, horrible, I can't remember the exact instances, but a horrible death and like something about believing in spaceships and things. And I was like, what does that tell me about all those things that like I believed in? It messed this in my head, it discounted the
Yeah.
source.
Yeah, of course, there's no answers to that. Maybe it was still true, and maybe that's the way she left this world. I don't know.
Maybe spaceships exist and we're all,
Well, we're not supposed to know. Like Matthias Stefano's saying on the Gaia Network, what would life be like if you knew the truth right? If you knew everything right now, what would your life be like? It wouldn't be a life. You already
Yeah,
know everything. It's about the journey, not the
yeah,
mystery. That's it. Yes.
yeah,
So, and then each day, we're learning and learning. Well, not everybody's learning. Some people stay the same, and they struggle. We have to grow. We have to let go, letting go,
yeah.
moving, flowing, or becoming an Amish person. You know, they have
Yeah,
nothing.
I still think we could do some styling for them.
Well, their thought is I have nothing to let go of, so I can't be hurt. We live so simply. You know, can't take our TVs away, our cell
Okay,
phones.
you can live simply, but you could stick on some faux fur for like the winter. You could put a couple of rhinestones in your house. Would it kill you?
I like
Some
the
bright
hats.
colors?
I like the hats, like the George Costanza on Seinfeld. Why do you want to join our religion? The hats. They said the hats.
Well, the Neville Goddard stuff. Um,
Yeah, I like his book, Immortal Man, I think it was called. That's a phenomenal.
I've heard so much of his stuff, but it goes very heavily back to religion. And to be fair, it's not my thing. But I found one talk. I can't remember the name. Maybe I'll send you the link. It was just the one talk I've listened to. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's that you aren't waiting to win the prize. You already are the prize.
Yes. But
It
probably
pulls
an
you
immortal
into,
man. Immortal
yeah.
Man, somebody took all of his lectures, that's the best ones, and put them in a book, audiobook called The Immortal Man, his top ones. That guy who read that has a great voice, I think. I forget his name.
Oh, I might check that out. Yeah, I'm really into Neville Goddard at the moment.
It's the law of
And
attraction, things like that, whatever they want to call it. Everybody calls it something different, but the universe works that way. It
yeah,
works on who was it? Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand vibrations and frequencies. That's right.
which is energy.
Yeah, this body is a vibrational field. That's all it is. And those are the people that are awakening. Oh, it's all energy, like
It's
Einstein
life,
proved.
it's life force. It's Ruth Gordon. I don't know if you know from Harold and Maude. It's Ruth Gordon. And I recently watched her. I say this on every call. I recently watched her on the Newhart show. I'm rewatching the Newhart show. And Ruth Gordon goes on screen, and it was like 2 weeks before she died, and she was like 89 or something. And she blew everyone off that stage. She was more alive, more vibrant, more young, more there than anyone else in the room. And that's it's life
I
force.
just saw her. I just watched her in one of my favorite Columbo episodes.
She is, isn't she? What did you think of her?
She's phenomenal. She was in the last one of that season. She locked this guy in a safe and killed him. And he figured her out already. Immediately he figured out she did it, you know.
Have you seen Harold and Maude?
Oh yeah, because I always loved Cat Stevens. He did the music for that.
Yeah, yeah,
That was a
yeah.
good.
She's that's what I want. That's what I want. I want to be Ruth Gordon. Whereas, yeah, that's what I want.
Well, the mind is the builder.
Yeah.
If you wherever your mind goes, that's where you live. And her mind lived in maybe probably the moment. You know, I'm listening to Yogananda every day too, because he was one of the greatest human beings that ever lived. And he said um, about making a good life, you know, how to make a good life. Um, you can make a bad life if you perceive it to be bad, good life if you perceive it to be good. But
And you have to decide it's good. You have to, you can go in and record every single day and do hundreds of books. And if you think that they're all awful and never good enough, you've decided. You've then chosen the outcome. You're the only judge. You're the director, you're the producer, you're the actor, you're the costume designer of your life. And you get to make it. So why would you not make it a good one?
yeah, Yogananda went on to say, never tell anyone your age, he said. Never. Because
Yeah.
they start judging you by that age. You start judging yourself by that age. Do not say your age.
I decided that after the age experiment, the
Oh yeah,
Lang, yeah.
Langford or Langley. She's going to be in my new book. I said in here, this book, if you remember, you probably don't remember because it's a long book, but I was quoting Satchel Paige. He said, "How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you
And
got up tomorrow
also,
and you thought you were 21, how would you feel?
and not only that, the problem isn't only that people judge you from their perception of that age. The problem is that you see it in their eyes and judge
Yeah,
yourself.
that's right. Because everything we know about ourselves came from other people.
Yeah.
Everything. You
And if
know,
you really ask yourself what your age is, how old do you feel
well,
right now?
if you think you're dumb or smart or good looking or not good looking or rich or poor, that came from other people.
Yeah.
We saw that through them. We don't know if we were the only person on planet Earth, we would have no idea who we are, what we are. You know, we judge it. Other people have formed. We judge our opinion of ourselves from them.
Yeah.
But what do they know?
Yeah. I thought I ran around 10 years old singing I'm the greatest star. I was the next coming of Barbara Streisand. That was just it. It was a given.
Well, you've got a good voice.
Oh,
You've got a good voice.
yeah, no, not a singer, but you know, but saying that I was a singer until that girl next door reached her head over the fence when I was swinging on the swing and told me, "Don't quit your day job, hen."
See, right, immediately your ego brings you down because you believed her.
I was 8,
Yeah,
never sang again.
well, you believe other people. You know,
Yeah,
that's part of life, though.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
one of my favorite Edgar Cayce quote. Matter of fact, my favorite Edgar Cayce quote. I read his stuff every day because I'm a member of the Association for Research and Enlightenment Center. He said, "Live your life in such a way that you can tell everyone else to go to hell."
Oh, I like that
He
one.
wasn't joking. He wasn't being facetious. He was a serious Orthodox man. He was serious about it.
I like that. I
Yeah.
do like that.
That's my favorite one so far. He wrote 14,000 things that healed like 10,000 people, so it's taken me a while to get through it. But yeah, he was a great healer. But that is key. Who
I
cares?
really like that one. I think we found the title of this phone call. Okay.
Go to hell. You better not forget the first part of that.
Thank you so much. We'll be in touch about the release because I'm going to
Yes.
get this one edited. I'd really like it. And call your mastering editing guy and tell him the fans are waiting.
Both of your fans are waiting.
No, all of us, the hordes, take my word for it.
Yeah, I'll get
Thanks.
a hold of him. I think he's excited about it too. Dr.
Yeah,
Sarno changed his life, he said.
yeah,
He
yeah.
changed
I
his
can
life.
believe that.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to like completely be able to devote my whole brain to it and not just the the bits that I've read. I want to listen to the whole thing.
Very good. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited too. I'll let you know.
Okay. Thanks so much. I'm so glad we got the chance to do this. Bye, Steve.
Yeah, well, thank you for all the help you've given me on this. That's why we're here, That's why it actually happened because of you, and
Thank you for the help you've given all of us.
well,
Life-changing.
you're welcome. Yeah, it's an
Life-changing.
obligation to pass the this truth on.
And I'm going to put I love your testimonials from people, the talks from people. So if you don't mind after this call, send me the link where people can view those. And I'll put them in the about section of this call in
Yeah.
case anybody wants to check them out.
People were told they could never heal by their doctors are all healed now.
I'd love to post that. I'd love to
I'll
put
send it
it.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.